Dead Chow Duo Podcast, episode number 79. Alexander?
Andy, how are you?
A great start to the episode.
Well, I didn't know what was going on there, so how are you doing, Andy?
Fine, I guess.
Cool, cool. Well, I'm doing well. It's been a eventful week. Not really. The highlight of my week was I hung some curtains, new curtains in the house. This whole lockdown thing. I know like some states it's like ended or whatever. And I know a lot of people down here in Florida have basically taken the lifting of some restrictions as a means to basically just go back to how everything was before. But I'm still working from home. I'm still barely leaving the house. I haven't gone anywhere other than a grocery store or a gas station. And, well, I went to the hardware store twice because I needed stuff for the house. But, yeah, man. I mean, I need a new washing machine. What could I do about it? But other than that, I don't go anywhere now. It's starting to get to me, I think. Like it feels like all the days are running together. Just doesn't feel normal at all.
Yeah.
That's my rant on lockdown. But stay safe out there, people. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a face mask in public. I personally wear a mask and then I put a balaclava on top. So I got 2 layers of protection.
I go out, I get my groceries, my face mask. And the second I get in my car, I take my face mask out. So I'm like, thank God that I got through all that,
Well, that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, you might want to wash your hands or sanitize first. It's weird, man. Like the whole thing. So as someone who makes a living as an analyst, doing analytics and data analytics and all that, I live in Orange County, Florida. Okay, so like I feel like a county is a pretty good representation of like the general population in the area that you live. And I'm looking at it right now. There's a little bit over 1,300 confirmed cases of the virus, okay, in like period in Orange County, Florida. Population in Orange County, Florida is 1.39 million. So anybody out there who can't do the math in their head, if you take that number, you're looking at 0.01% of the population has actually had a confirmed case of this virus. So, like, if you live in Orange County like I do, it's like you go out and you see people being really cautious, and I know I'm certainly one of those people. Like, good God, man. Like, that's such a small chance. But, and out of that 1,330 have died. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, did the social distancing really work and keep that number low? Or is it something that's not really a threat? Or is it something that really was never a big threat to begin with, even if we had done social distancing or had not done? I don't know, man. I could do a whole podcast on it. I've had talks with my wife about it. She works in the healthcare industry. I really don't know where I land on it. I just know that I'm going stir crazy, and I hate it. I miss bars. I miss hanging out with friends. I miss my family. I haven't seen my family in forever. I don't know when I'll see them again. It's kind of lame, dude. Anyway, moving on to regular segments here. What have we been watching? What have you been playing this week? Andy, I'll let you lead off.
I watched My Best Fiend, a documentary from 1999, directed by Werner Herzog.
I've heard about that.
He made Geary the Wrath of God, Nosferatu, and Fitzcarraldo. And it's a documentary following the lead actor. It's about him and his relationship with the lead actor in those movies, Klaus Kinski. He was also in A Few Dollars More, if you may know him from that. But it's basically like this. Klaus Kinski's like the lead actor in those movies, and he's like a psychopath. Like he's insane,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's videos of him like yelling at the cast and stuff, and it's like this love-hate relationship between him and Werner Herzog. Interesting documentary, and also the whole documentary is in German, in which in like 20 minutes in the subtitles go away for like 5 minutes, which that was sick. You know,
Oh, really?
not knowing what's going on. Great.
See, I would turn it off thinking that it was glitching out.
It was yeah, fantastic. Then I watched Ride with the Devil from 1999, directed by Ang Lee,
Mm-hmm.
directed by Brokeback Mountain for last week's film club pick.
Mm-hmm.
I watched My Neighbor the Yamadas. Sorry, it's my first ever Studio Ghibli movie. Pretty boring.
Oh, really?
I watched In China They Eat Dogs, a Danish crime movie, I guess you can call it. It has one of the most interesting endings to a movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Also from 1999. And then I watched They Live, the first ever film club pick.
Oh boy,
And then
that's a throwback.
I watched Predator.
Yeah.
Yep. That it.
Play anything this week?
Nope.
Wow. Well, this week I've been doing, the regular DVR stuff, The Prophet. Watched a little bit of Bar Rescue, believe it or not. Shark Tank. Just the regular stuff that I keep up with from week to week. Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone
Fun.
Wars season 7. It just wrapped up the final episode period. So I guess the series finale is what you would call it. Watched that just before recording this. Also watched Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. And boy, that was a treat. Also watched Predator, Big Bang Theory. Been kind of binge watching that, working my way through that one, and Zombieland from 2009 because I never saw it, and I actually ended up really, really enjoying it. It's terrific, and I can't wait to watch the sequel, Double Tap. I hope it's as good as the first one, but I guess we'll see in time. And then this week I've been playing World of Warcraft and just an absolute ton of Animal Crossing. I'm completely addicted to Animal Crossing, New Horizons on the Switch. It's amazing. I've already put in over 65 hours on the game. And me and my wife will sit on the couch and put something on in the background. Just something for really background noise more than anything else. And we'll just sit there and play Animal Crossing for hours. It's great. So it's been a nice couples bonding type game to play. But that's it. I realized this week I haven't played Madden since Animal Crossing came out. I haven't even touched it.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about touching it. It's kind of weird. Life is weird, man.
Life is Strange, Season 2. Moving on next
Yeah,
topic.
I heard those games are pretty good, man.
Listener question from Daniel. Discuss declassified UFO footage. According to fans, I'm not supposed to talk on this topic, so go ahead, Alex.
Are we really doing that? I guess we're really doing that. So I guess this is the unofficial debut of the Al Talks Alien segment of the show. And this week, 3 videos were released with UFO footage that, by the way, has been leaked out before. The Tom DeLonge of Blink 182 fame, he's kind of put these videos out there before. I want to say the New York Times has also put these videos out prior to this. And I want to say there was one other news publication that I can't think of at the moment that also leaked these videos. And they take place in 3 different years. One of them is 2005. I want to say it was 2005, 2007, and 2015 that these came out. Oh, I'm sorry. 2004, 2015, and then 2007 is what I'm seeing here in this news article. Regardless, these are really interesting pieces of video footage. And, the one that really kind of blew my mind the most was the one where it's like a black object in the middle of this pilot screen, and it's flying against the wind at 120 knots, and it's slowly rotating. I mean, this thing's keeping up with a jet. It's pretty crazy to look at. And I guess where I stand on it is I'm glad that the government released this, and it really started a broader discussion in my mind that I really haven't thought about for a while. I've thought about it before, but I really haven't explored it lately, which is really how the government would approach disclosure. Should the government decide to disclose that there is life outside of our planet, if there is, I mean, obviously, I'm taking an assumption saying that there is something, but I think it's good that the government's being transparent and releasing this. I do kind of question why it took them this long to release this footage, because I don't think that any one of these 3 videos is something that's like an aha moment. That's like this major watershed moment where you look at this video and you go, oh my God, this is absolute proof of UFOs. This is absolute proof.
No, it's proof of UFOs. It's not proof of aliens. Sorry, I'm not supposed to talk. It's an unidentified flying object. That's what it is.
Yeah, so you bring up a very good point, and I'm glad that you did. So, oh God, I really don't want to get onto too much of a rant here. This is why I almost didn't want to cover it on the podcast, because I could talk about this for half an hour. But I think that so I look at it and I go, it's good that the government's being transparent. I think that we can all agree that we would like more transparency from our government, especially in times like this where we're dealing with what we're dealing with now. I think that more transparency is always a good thing rather than a bad thing. With that being said, I do understand why the government does keep some things close to the chest, because a lot of times, if, like, let's just say there was an Independence Day moment, right, where a UFO descends like right on top of the White House, and it's like, we're aliens, we're here, like, submit to us. I think that's something that would be very detrimental to the stability of our society for a number of reasons. I think it would crumble the foundations that our society is built on. So I think it's really important that some things are kind of kept close to the chest by the government, because people do have a propensity to panic sometimes. But overall, I think that all 3 of these are really intriguing videos, and I agree with Andy. I think that they are proof of UFOs. I don't know that they're necessarily proof of UFOs being from another planet. My thought looking at all 3 of these is that these are drones. And the reason I say that is, while I would love to think that it's some sort of an alien life form, that's the most fun solution to come up with. But I think the more likely solution is that these are some type of surveillance drones. And the technology on that has really like jumped like significantly over the last 20 years or so. And over time, like, we've found that there are a lot of military and surveillance drones, especially from places like Russia, China, Germany, even, where we weren't aware of their existence. So if they're running around, flying around, it's something foreign to us, and we connect the dots and say, oh, it might be aliens. Looking at all 3 of these, I would say that these are probably surveillance drones. But it did get me thinking, like, if they're, and I kind of wanted to get Andy's take on this. If tomorrow you're the president of the United States and some like imaginary phone on your desk rings and it's like aliens, and they're like normal. They're not like, hey, we want to take over or whatever. There's like, hey, we're aliens. We noticed you're here. Like, can we come visit? What would you do?
Private meeting, yeah.
You'd have a private meeting with them?
Yeah, why not?
What would you discuss with them?
I don't know. I feel like they'd be coming to me with the topics.
I love it.
Like,
that's great.
If they want to come here, I feel like they're the ones that want to interview me. It's not like I'm going up there and be like, Ayo, alien, 60 minutes. Let's get an interview.
That's fair, man. And to be real about it, if they do have the capability to come here, they'd probably have more to share with you than you would have to share with
I
them.
don't want their information though.
Why do you not want their information?
No, like the I don't know which island, but similar to the North Sentinel Islands, we tried to bring them to modern technology and it doesn't work. Civilizations progress at its own rate. You can't just
Yeah.
skip.
No, that's kind of an interesting way to explore it.
Our brains could not fathom their technology.
No. I think that's the one thing that I struggle with the most is like I want aliens to be real so badly. I really do. Because I think it gives us hope. And when I say hope, I mean like
Star Wars, A New
not
Hope.
not that they're well, no, but like not that they're gonna come here and fix everything for us, but that they might have so like when you work at a job and you're new there and there's someone who kind of knows the ropes and they know how everything goes and they've been there before and they have the experience that you don't have, you kind of lean on them a little bit sometimes, and it's kind of reassuring to know, hey, there's this person who at one time they were in my shoes and they know what to do, so like I look at it now and I go, well, aliens might have an idea of how to tackle the current issues of the day, reliance on fossil fuels and pandemics and things of that nature. So it is kind of something that you look to and you go, well, boy, it would be nice if they existed and they could help us, or maybe they could help us unlock the mysteries of the universe, where we came from, where we're going, questions that a lot of humans ask, origin, destiny, purpose. These are things that weigh pretty heavily on my mind day to
Yeah, but
day.
would you believe them?
That's kind of a interesting question because I don't know that you could, right? Because when you talk to your best friend in the world, right? And you ask them like, how do I look in this outfit? They might tell you look good when you don't, just to not hurt your feelings. And in a weird way, isn't that kind of an agenda? They don't want to have a difficult conversation, therefore they lie. So if you're an alien and someone comes up to you and they go, "Well, where did I come from?" and they find, and they're basically going to tell you, "Hey, there is no God. We prove that there is no God." I'm just snowballing here, right? So we're aliens. We checked everything out. There is no God. We proved it scientifically, and you just came from single cell organisms randomly, and you're a miracle. But there's nothing after death. That would turn our society on its head because instantly overnight, all organized religion would go out the door and you would have people acting crazy because not I'm not saying that atheism creates bad people. I want to be really clear about that, but I do think that there's a large segment of our population, I would say 50 to 60%, that uses religion as a very big part of their identity. And if that was thrown out the window, they would have kind of like an existential crisis of sorts, right? So it is something where you could go like, even if they could give me all the answers, one, would I want them? Two, how do I know that there's not some kind of an agenda behind it driving this? I don't know that you could trust them. It's one of those things, man, where it's just so fascinating to think about. But when it comes to like disclosure, Andy, I think he has a really similar approach to mine. If you're the president of the world, right, or the president of the United States, like a major world power, the aliens get in contact with you, maybe you have that private meeting, but I think disclosure is really a scary thing. And I think that's why the government keeps things like this so close to the chest, because you can't just come out and say there's aliens and we know it. You certainly can't come out and say, hey, there's aliens, they're here. I think that the pathway to disclosure would be like a very
We
segmented
are the
one. You'd have to
aliens.
do
They
it.
live. You sleep.
Maybe. I mean, I've heard that theory too. I think that's actually a pretty fascinating one, is that we're the foreign thing on this planet. But that's a whole nother discussion. But Like, I just think that if there were aliens, we found out that they're actually real. Um, Regardless of what you do behind closed doors, you would have to stagger disclosure over the course of like multiple decades. I think the first step would be go, we know there's aliens, but we haven't made contact with them yet. And then like the second step many years later would be we did actually get in contact with the aliens and they're totally cool and they don't want to hurt us. And then like the next step would be they're on the way and like we want to make it really clear they're not here to hurt us, they're not going to do anything to throw off what's going on here. And then finally you would maybe put them like in a public eye. But I mean that's something that I think would have to take decades, probably 40, 50 years. Like you have to gradually ease people into this concept that there's life outside of this planet.
I mean, that's what Star Trek's all about. This civilization is new, and it's not ready. We have to leave them be.
Yeah, I think the Prime Directive, in a weird way, even though it's from a TV show / movie series, I think it's kind of a beautiful concept because, like, even now where we are today, if we found out that there were human-like aliens on Mars, okay, they've been hiding out. There's like this little corner of Mars where life is sustainable and they're very human like, but they're about 3,000 years behind us. We can't go like just go have a chat with them and tell them what's been going on. Like
I mean, there's like a civilization like that on Earth, North Sentinel Island.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because the first parallel that you think of are things like that, or like the one that I always talk about with people is the Spaniards going to Central and South America. They were really what, like maybe 100 to 200 years ahead of the civilizations, the indigenous
Aztecs.
people. Yeah, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas. Those were the three biggest groups. When they went over there, I mean, they were really maybe what 100, 200 years ahead in very small segments of what makes a society. In other areas, the indigenous population was ahead, mathematically at least, and they were welcomed as gods and they took advantage of it. I mean, it's pretty dark, man. So like it kind of makes you wonder about like, if there is extraterrestrial life, would you want to see? And then like I kind of like the theory that Stephen Hawking proposed where like if aliens called you up on the telephone, you'd be best to just hang up. Like don't even answer. Like what would be the plus
That's
to
kind
it?
of what
Like
I
why?
said.
Yeah, like I think you're right in a weird way. Like I don't know, maybe just don't answer. It's just a curiosity, man. I don't know. Anyway,
Moving
these
on to
videos coming out, yeah, like it's good for transparency.
my
So thanks,
topic.
Daniel, for the question. Oh, topic from Andy. Let's go.
We've been doing
That
a
was
lot
our
of
talk aliens.
Mount Rushmores.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing another one. WWE manager Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's super easy.
Mine is Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, Paul
Uh-huh.
Bearer, Paul Heyman, and Vicky Guerrero.
They're all good picks, and I'm not going to like. Yeah, I'm not really gonna try to critique any of that because they're all valid. Mine's number one. It's Bobby Heenan. Number two, Jim Cornette. And I want to be really clear when I say this. I think Bobby Heenan and Jim Cornette. It's 1A and 1B. And if you ask Bobby Heenan who the best manager was in the WWF ever, he'd say Jim Cornette and vice versa. So like I think that those two, it's by and far those two, and then all the rest. Third, I'm gonna go Miss Elizabeth, and four, I'm gonna go Paul E. Heyman.
Okay.
But it's hard just to pick four, man, because like everyone that you mentioned that wasn't in my four, I would say maybe not Vicky Guerrero.
She's the best heel manager ever.
She's a really oh god, she's such a good heel. So you're kind of
He's
talking me
the
into it.
best heel manager ever. Fans genuinely disliked her.
There's so many good ones, man, over the years. I mean, guys that I didn't even really bring up. If we were expanding it, I would say, Raven was a great manager as Johnny Polo. Raven in WCW is a good manager there, even though he was a wrestler too. He managed the flock.
All right,
So
a difficult Mount Rushmore.
yeah.
Mount Rushmore of current generation video games.
Ooh.
The PS4, Switch, and Xbox One.
Okay, so no PC games.
If it came out between now and 2013, PC games does count. I would count it, but
Oh, okay. So then we're not counting that.
Mine to let you think for a second.
Mhm.
Mine's Cuphead.
Okay.
Fallout 4. Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And Rocket League.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm 100% clear on this. It has to be something that was released in the current gen.
Yeah. Well, it has to be a new game on current gen.
Oh shit.
That's really difficult.
All right, so I'm going to go Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. There's God of War, Spider-Man,
No, I can't go
Sekiro.
one. Yeah, okay. So that's a good point.
It'll
So
Do 2.
I'm gonna go Red Dead Redemption 2, Sekiro.
It'll Do 2.
No, it's not. It'll do too.
Ukulele.
Not ukulele. I really want to be able to say Halo 5, but I can't put them in there. It's just not good enough.
My honorable mention is
Ooh.
For Honor. But I didn't want to put it in there.
So my personal, I would go Sekiro, Red Dead Redemption 2. I've got to put in Forza Horizon 3.
Not 4. Interesting.
Wait, what was the latest one that came out? Was
Forza
it 3 or
Horizon
4?
4.
Okay, so I'm going to say 4.
3 is Australia. 4 is
But 3 was amazing. 3 was amazing. 4 was even
4?
better. I feel like 3 is the last one. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
No, Forza Horizon 4 is definitely the last one.
Oh, okay.
4 is
So,
Great Britain.
yeah.
3 is Australia.
Yeah, so I'll go Forza Horizon 4, Sekiro, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah.
That's a tough one though, man. I wish I had 8 slots.
It is a tough topic.
Grand Theft Auto 5 would have been on
Not
there,
current gen.
but it wasn't current gen. It was previous gen right at the end, and then they remastered it. This will be the generation of the remaster.
I don't know. He left off God of War. I feel like that's on a lot of people's lists. I never played it.
It's tough for me to put God of War on there, man.
DCD.
I mean, I like it. It's good. Good.
DCD Film Club.
Mm-hmm.
This week's pick is from Patreon. It's a Patreon pick from Jared, otherwise known as Spoon Sandwich. He picked Predator from 1987. Alexander, what did you think of Predator?
So this is my first time watching this film all the way through. And it's been on TV probably a billion times when I was growing up, and I'd see 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half an hour here. Never really sat down, watched the full thing. So I was kind of happy to sit down and watch this finally all the way through. It came out in 1987. I was 2 when it came out, so couldn't see it in theaters.
It could have,
But well, I
your
mean, I could have seen
mom
it.
could have brought you in.
I'm sure that would have gone over like gangbusters, man. Would have been over like Rover. 2-year-old in the theater, probably making all kinds of
Yeah, it would
noise.
have been tight.
Yeah. So overall, I thought it was really good. I mean, it's supposed to be an action movie. It's an 80s action movie. And it's in the same vein as your Rambos and trying to think of another one.
Lethal
Die
Weapon.
Hard, yeah, Lethal Weapon, that kind of stuff where it's just balls to the walls action.
Aliens,
yeah. And overall I thought it was really good for what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to just be a kind of mindless action movie that's fun to watch, a popcorn movie, if you will. And it's got some really great acting performances in it, in my opinion. I thought this was Arnold Schwarzenegger's really first big breakout role. I know he had some other ones beforehand, but
Conan.
I thought but he could barely speak English in
He
Conan.
can barely speak English in this movie.
Fair enough. Carl Weathers is great. I like Carl Weathers. I've yet to see him in something that I didn't like. And it tells a cool story. You kind of go through it going, man, what's this thing wiping people out? That it's a predator now because of, pop culture and so on. But I would imagine watching this in the theaters, you'd be like, oh man, what's going on? And then like that last third of the movie, you kind of figure it out, and it's kind of a cool reveal. I thought the special effects were pretty good given the age of them. I mean, it's 33 years old and it still looks pretty darn good. And it shot well. It felt like you were in the jungle. I liked it. I mean, it's kind of like another pick that Jared had for us, Top Gun. For what it's supposed to do, it succeeds. I can't really think of anything too critical of it. Yeah, well, here we go. We'll get to the critical part in a moment when Andy takes over.
Arnold's great and all, but sometimes you just don't know what he's saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, but as someone who likes a mindless action movie to have maybe playing in the background or something to just kind of watch for fun and kind of turn your brain off for a while, this was a lot of fun to watch.
They killed the best character. Second, Jesse the Body Ventura was definitely my favorite part of the movie.
I liked him in this. I thought he was really good, and
he's great.
Yeah,
he had so many catchphrases, and
he was fun to watch. He had the coolest gun.
After he died, like throughout the movie, I was like, why does the Body have an MP5? And he whips out this Gatling gun,
minigun. Yeah, man. Like, when he rips out the minigun, it's pretty tight.
My only criticism is after he's gone, I felt there's like a slight decline in quality, or not really quality, but I was having less fun with the movie after Jesse was gone.
Yeah, it was really fun. I liked it. Can't really think of anything else to talk about. I thought it really set up a sequel well. That was the other thing. It left you going, hey man, the Predator probably be back, and
then I was like, what if the Predator and the Alien fought?
So, like I said, overall, really good action movie. I think it's a classic. I think anybody who likes action movies should see this at least once. So I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. And I like I said, I recommend anybody who likes an action movie seeing this one. It's good. It's a classic. What more can you say? Andy, what are your thoughts?
Oh, there's nothing to really say about this movie. Just like Top Gun. It is what it is. I don't necessarily like popcorn movies. That's probably been understood through the 60-something film club picks we've done.
Yeah. This is definitely not a yogurt film.
6 out of 10. Found it.
Fair enough.
As I said, I really enjoyed the body. Outside of that, it was Arnold's great and all, but I did not enjoy him leading this movie.
I don't know. I love the ending too. I can't say enough about the ending. I thought it was a really cool ending.
I would have liked it better probably if I didn't. This is the first time seeing it, by the way. If I just didn't know all the catchphrases, and then also one thing I didn't like. It's just my personal taste. The action was just so over the top and so ridiculous.
It's definitely a little bit over the top, but
like there's a part where they're shooting for like 5 minutes into the woods, and I'm just like, come on, dude, just do something else, please. I feel like
another thing
didn't age well.
Really?
Because of the overtop action and like the cheeky catchphrases. I don't really think that's a thing in the movies now.
Probably not.
The music was way too loud at some points. And yeah, I don't know. It's a movie. It's of its era. I can understand if you think this is the greatest movie of all time. I can understand if you hate it.
Saying that. I don't think anybody's really saying that. It's just like it reminds me a lot of other sci-fi action movies of this time where you see
They Live came out a year after this, and They Live so much better.
Okay, well, sure. I just think that there's so many things that you see in this film that get it. You could tell it inspired things that came after it, kind of like Alien. They Live is another good one where there's things that have come out afterwards that were clearly inspired by it. So that's usually a mark of a pretty good movie. So, but I liked it, and I appreciate Jared sending it in because it gave me an excuse to watch this all the way through for the first time.
I've never seen it, so
well,
there you marked up my watch list.
But please comment on YouTube or send us a tweet.
Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Let us know what you thought about
it. Sphinx gave it a 7 out of 10. He gave it the highest of those 3.
Look at that, man.
Leave a comment, be like, "Oh, Andy's an idiot. He hates everything." Oh man.
So didn't hate on this.
Moving on to my pick. We're doing a fun thing this episode. Yay! Bring on the fun. So, people apparently don't like that I pick my favorite movies of all time, and they weirdly get 10 out of 10s because it's my favorite movies of all time. So this week we're doing Film Club Roulette. Alex can't see it, but the fans at home can see it now. I made a letterboxed list of 80 movies I've never seen before with a flex pick. There is one movie I've seen here, and I'm pointing it to them. So I've never seen any of these movies on here besides that one. It's one movie from every year from 1939 to 2019. And Alexander, pick a number. I've never seen any of these movies. I will say there is 2 trap cards, and I'm showing the fans right here. So pick a number, 1 through 80.
26.
You missed the trap cards. Trap cards, I haven't showed them what 26 is. Trap cards was Avengers Endgame and the favorite, by the way.
Oh, God.
If you picked 1 or 2, you would have got that. It's ordered from 1's 2019 and it goes down chronologically. You picked 26, right?
Mm-hmm.
You picked from 1994 Leon the Professional.
I have no idea what that even is. So
it stars a very young Natalie Portman, Gary Oldman, directed by Luc Besson. I assume that's how you pronounce it. And it's a movie that it's considered a must-watch amongst film people.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I think I vaguely remember this now that you say Gary Oldman and Natalie Portman. So I look forward to it. So that's our pick for next week.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably go down the whole list to show everyone what could have potentially been picked because I didn't earlier. Slowly do that. That's what could have been picked.
Oh, jeez.
You're mad that none of those got picked. Tough.
Well, can you imagine if you picked Avengers Endgame?
You picked it. I didn't pick it. I only picked.
So if I had picked Avengers Endgame, I mean, oh my
The
goodness, I never forgive myself.
flex one that I've already seen that was on there was The Wizard of Oz.
You know, they recently remastered that in
Yep.
4K, and I purchased it because my wife wants to see it again. So
Leon the Professional's on Vudu Prime for $2.99 and YouTube and Google Play for $9.99.
I've noticed quite a few younger people haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, by the way.
I've seen it. I mean, I think everyone's. I feel like it's the most watched movie ever.
Yeah, I actually know there's two people offhand that I know that have never seen it.
And then there's like the people are like, oh, it's so iconic, but I didn't win Best Picture. But the thing that won Best Picture was oh my god, uh, wow, I'm really blanking. It's like another huge movie that's iconic from 1939.
Yeah, I know. I don't
Gone with
know
the
what it
Wind.
is.
Gone with the Wind.
Oh, Gone with the Wind. Yeah, I
Directed
mean,
by the same guy.
yeah, it's
Both movies directed
kind
by
of
the same guy.
at that point you're just a victim of circumstance for not winning
Yeah,
Best
he's
Picture.
like guaranteed to win it. He directed Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz in the same year.
So what's the movie? Either the movie or the movie series, Andy, that you have never seen before, that when you tell people that you've never seen it, they kind of like drop their jaw a little bit.
I don't know.
Mm. I thought
Endgame.
everybody had one of those. Yeah, for me, it's Lord of the Rings. Like people, like they'll always be like, "Oh yeah," because they know I'm kind of like into nerdy stuff and all that, and they'll immediately kind of assume like, "Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've never even seen a single one of those. Not even The Hobbit. I read the book, The Hobbit, hated the book, just absolutely loathed it. No offense if you like it. If that's your bag, if that's your baggins, you know."
Yeah.
Good for you, but not really my taste. So, but I like stupid stuff like, you know, Great Expectations. So, but yeah, never seen Lord of the Rings, and when I tell people that, they're always like, "Really?" And then like immediately they're like, "You have to see it." And I'm like, "I don't have
Do
to."
you want to know the movies you missed out on? And it's gonna kill a bunch of time me reading all 80 of them.
We are not reading all 80 of them.
All right. Dang.
Send me a list.
I don't know. There's some interesting ones that would have
Well,
been fun.
I'll just watch it on the podcast because you're putting it up on the screen. So
Yeah. Fantastic Mr. Fox was on there. It's a claymation movie by Wes Anderson, like Isle of Dogs.
oh yeah.
Passion of Christ was on there.
Oh boy, I bet that would
The
lead to some great
Wrestler was on
discussion.
there.
You know, I know I'm gonna get some trash talk for saying this, but the only thing Darren Aronofsky's ever done that I liked was Black Swan.
Um,
All the rest of his stuff I think is way too formulaic.
Movies that I picked for your taste was Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
I like it, even though I know it's not good.
And then I also put King Kong 1933. That was another flex pick because that was what I jokingly said I was going to pick in the first film club.
That's another really good classic. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I even like the newest one that they made with Jack Black. That King Kong was
It's not the newest
really...
King Kong movie.
Well, I know it's not, but I'm talking about the traditional style.
Kong Skull Island.
I know, but I'm talking about the one where they find him on an island, they bring him to New York, he's on the state building.
Yeah, but he's going to fight Godzilla.
No. Those are cool. Those are different to me. Those are different in a good way. Those are good too. I like those, but I'm stupid, man. I like stuff with big apes. Come on.
Donkey Kong 64.
Put a big great game. Put a big ape in anything and I'm like all for it. I even like monkeys.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
So.
Old world monkeys are more boring though. Just saying.
What?
one of the biggest ways to classify monkeys is old world versus new world monkeys, and there's very markable differences between the two. And I have always felt that old world monkeys were more boring to observe than new world monkeys, but some people would disagree with that.
You know, monkeys have discovered tools.
And that's Altox anthropology.
Monkeys have
Studied a lot
discovered
of
tools
anthropology.
recently.
Yes and no. So like I know the one thing that everybody talks about is that apes might currently be in their Stone Age now.
Yeah, they made stone tools, and there's like videos of them using them.
Yeah, so like I totally subscribe to some of that, but like when people talk about the video that came out, or I think it's a chimp that's spearfishing, it was later found that that chimp, or it's some kind of an ape. I want to say it's a chimp. It could be something else. It might be a gorilla or something. But I do remember seeing the video and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. If it really truly learned that on its own, but it was apparently taught by humans. So
Dang.
I don't know.
What if aliens taught us that?
I mean, that's kind of what 2001 Space Odyssey is about, depending on your interpretation of it. I don't know. I like one thing that always bothered me, and even as someone who's a theist and believes in a god and a creator, I can't discount the reality of evolution, so I don't. But one of the things that I always hate to hear is someone out there who's a theist or subscribes to, and like I'm a Catholic, I've talked about that before on the show, but like anybody who subscribes to any kind of religious ideology, they'll say, well, if evolution's real, why are there still monkeys? Why are there still chimps? Why are there still apes? Like, that's just such a backwards way of explaining something, because like the truth is today's chimp is still learning and evolving and will continue to do so. I'm not ever saying that they're going to be wearing lab coats and stuff, but you know, they are evolving. They are getting better. I mean, even as we find, like, look at sharks, you know, like there's a whole week
You never
dedicated
know.
to sharks. I mean, they've evolved.
Monkeys may eventually become smart, and then we use them as servants, and they uprise, and then we have a Planet of the Apes.
Planet
Or
of the Apes.
potentially the other Planet of the Apes franchise, where there's a disease, a monkey virus, where everyone goes stupid, but monkeys be smart.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe there will be a Dr. Zaius one day. I don't know. It's interesting to think
The
about.
sequels to Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, the most ridiculous story to follow.
The original?
The original 5.
When you say the original 5, what are you talking about?
They're from like the 60s, 70s.
Oh, I didn't know that there was ever a sequel after the first one.
Yeah, there's 5. It's like the first one's like iconic, and then it goes up to the part where he sees the spoiler, Statue of Liberty, and then
If you haven't seen it by now,
sorry, I spoiled a movie from the 60s.
it's so stupid.
And then the second one, another team that was following his team, Taylor's team, comes to rescue Taylor, and then like they find the civilization. I'm trying to think how it is. And there's like a giant battle, and then they find these like superhumans that talk with their brains. And there's like a huge battle between monkeys and superhumans. And the superhumans have a giant golden nuke, and they explode the nuke, kills everything. But the Dr. Zeta, what, I can't think of the chick.
Zaius.
Her and her husband get on a ship that the researchers that came before to find Taylor, they get on the ship and fly, and when they fly back, they magically travel back in time to current day United States, and now they're smart monkeys in the United States. This is the third movie, by the way. That was the second movie. The third movie is they're in current day United States, and they're on trial, and they're like, what's happened to Taylor? Why are these smart monkeys? And then the government's trying to kill them. They have a kid, and then the kid escapes. The kid's in some like zoo, all right, and then the fourth movie turns out the kid's name Caesar. Oh God. And the fourth movie, there's a huge battle where the humans are making the apes do servant stuff, and they're like eventually the apes they play it throughout the entire movie where Caesar says no, and he stops doing the work, and all the apes revolt, and now it's a Planet of the Apes. And then the fifth movie, I don't remember what happened. It's stupid. It gets really ridiculous.
I didn't even know any of that existed.
And then
it
all
does
that is
sound
completely
ridiculous.
forgot about in the new trilogy, where it's just like smart monkey people stupid now.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then there's the Tim Burton one, which I haven't seen,
I've
starring
only
Marky Mark.
watched I've only watched the original thus far. I never really got around.
I wouldn't say watch any of the other ones.
I don't know, man. It's a cool idea, but I feel like the original did everything there was to do with the idea. You know,
Yeah, they
and
pull that.
yeah, to stretch it to 5 is
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
I'm
I
trying to
mean,
see
but
what is the fifth one.
I even felt that way about Jurassic Park. Like, I remember first Jurassic Park, you watch it, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Jurassic Park 2, you're like, I don't know, man. Why would you reopen the park? And then, like, when I saw Jurassic Park 3 in movie theaters, by the way, terrible. Don't see it, but don't waste your time.
Oh,
Even if
there's
it's
also a
free.
TV show, by the way, of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Jurassic Park 3, I was like, these people need to learn. Don't go to this island. Just don't. But
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm sure Jurassic Park 3 made money, so who cares?
And Rod Serling was part of the original Planet of the Apes. Great guy. Creator of Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It does kind of feel very Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah, I mean, he created the greatest TV show of all time, The Twilight Zone.
It's definitely got to be up there, yeah.
There was no revival in 2019. That did not happen.
Ouch. Okay, so moving on from DC Film Club, I wanted to get Andy's take on this, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know, man. I don't know what he's going to say about this one, because I don't think we've ever talked about this NFL player on the show before.
We definitely have.
Oh, we have? Okay. Well,
At some
this
point
week,
in 79 episodes, I'm sure he's came up.
so this week, the Chicago Bears declined the 5th-year option on Mitchell Trubisky, guy they drafted in the first round, second overall a few years back. He had a pretty okay average rookie year for a rookie, and then he had a pretty good second year, and everybody was thinking he was going to make that big leap year 3. He ended up having probably the worst year of his career last year. Bears didn't even make the playoffs. So, Andy, what are your thoughts on Mitchell Trubisky? Do you think it's a problem with the system? Do you think it's a problem with coaching? Do you think it's a problem with him as a prospect, as an NFL QB, or a combination of the three?
I don't think he's a good quarterback. They run a system that perfectly fits his play, so I can't say it's him in the system. They run a college style offense that he's used to running at North Carolina, and he's shown success in. It's just they figured out how to expose his weaknesses.
Yeah.
Declining the option doesn't really mean anything. Like in the grand scheme of things, they can still sign him to a huge extension. The more concerning thing is that they traded a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And the funnier in like the grand scheme of things is they traded a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles whenever Cam Newton and Andy Dalton were free agents later.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird choice. Personally, I really thought Cam Newton was going to land.
Cam Newton's waiting for a starting job. Apparently, that's the talks now. He's
I
waiting
really
for
thought-
he's waiting for the first quarterback to get hurt, which is inevitable. The first quarterback to get hurt, he wants to sign there.
So originally, I thought he was going to sign with the Bears or the Titans. And we had talked about this towards the tail end of the regular season. Tannehill did so great in the playoffs. I mean, he obviously got paid, so that really wasn't an option anymore. But I did think that Chicago would be a good landing spot for him. Surprised that didn't work out. But Trubisky's a weird one, man. I think I kind of disagree with Andy on this. I think Trubisky can be good, and I think he will eventually find his stride. I just don't know if it's going to be in a Bears uniform. And I think the biggest issue is I feel like the guy's shell shocked. The coaching staff has been notoriously tough on him. I've heard a lot of, and I've seen a lot of articles talking about how toxic the coaching staff is in that Bears locker room. And if you don't believe me, look up the article that ESPN published where they were talking about how they found a kicker for this past season. The coaching staff really just doesn't value players on a personal level like I think they should. I also think that because specifically Matt Nagy is so tied, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, to Trubisky, because he started there when Trubisky was a rookie, and he was a big part of why they drafted him and moved up to draft him. I think that maybe there's a little bit of angst on the coaching staff's part because they're tied to this guy who isn't being successful right now, or at least wasn't successful last year. I just look at the guy and I go, man, he was about a game away from a Super Bowl 2 years ago. I don't know if you can throw him away. And he just looks shell-shocked out there. Like, he doesn't throw to the outside very often, and when he does, it's not very accurate, and everything seems really rushed. The game just doesn't really seem to slow down for him like it did in his second year. I would say this, though. As poorly as the situation in Chicago has gotten for Mitch Trubisky, probably also doesn't help that the fans boo him every Sunday. Just saying. If he were to hit the open market, I would encourage a team like the Bucks to maybe think about kicking the tires on the guy. Because, the Tom Brady solution in Tampa Bay, like, as much as I love Tom Brady coming to Tampa Bay, what's he going to play? Another year? 2 years? 3 years? Right? And that could always change. So, maybe you get somebody like a Trubisky who's a reclamation project, and you sit him on the bench behind someone like Tom Brady, and then when the time's right, maybe he steps up. I don't know.
We live in a weird. The current state of the NFL is weird. There's too many quarterbacks to go around.
Yeah, it used to be that it was hard to find a starting quarterback. Now I feel like there's a lot of average starting quarterbacks out there, and then there's very few elite guys, which makes sense because the term elite means the best of the best, right? There's a lot of
tier ahead of everybody, and then everyone else there's 40 quarterbacks. That's really stretching, but there's a solid amount of quarterbacks. Like, Cam Newton shouldn't be a free agent right now.
Well, yeah, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? He is probably a replacement level starter, right? Some weeks he's off the charts great, and in other weeks he's very below average, right? And when you take that and you put that over the course of a full season, he is what I would call I'm not picking on him, but I'm just saying he's probably what you would call the replacement level starting quarterback in the NFL. And there's a lot of those right now. There's a lot of guys who can get you through a game and maybe get you to 7 or 8 wins in a season. Then there's the tier that I like to call moderately adequate, right? They're not average. They're just above the average, right? They're just a little bit better than the average. And a good example of that would be last year's Matt Ryan. He's not even close to elite, not even sniffing it, but he's moderately adequate. He's just a little bit above the average. And then you've got what I would call the above average plus tier, if you will, which would be the Carson Wentz's, the Dak Prescott's, the guys who maybe one day they will be elite. Yeah, Garoppolo, I would put him in that tier. I don't think he's elite yet, but could he get there in a few years? Absolutely, right? I would also tell you Drew Brees is in that category now. He's not elite now. He was, he isn't anymore. And then you got that elite tier, your Aaron Rodgers and,
Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, maybe Tom Brady, but last year Tom Brady was starting to look a little bit more like Drew Brees and a little bit less like those other guys you mentioned. Pat Mahomes is, I don't care what anybody says, Lamar Jackson had a terrific year last year. Pat Mahomes was the best quarterback in the league last
year. You flipped, man.
I flipped, and you know what made me flip?
I was always riding Patrick Mahomes.
So you know what made me flip? The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That scene. So I know I'm gonna get some hate for this. I like Lamar Jackson. I hate when people call him a running back. That joke is so stale. I hate it. Stop it. He's a talented young man, and he should be treated as such. But that aside, he had an amazing year. He deserved MVP. But in the playoffs, he didn't come through. He did not have a very good game. Pat Mahomes, oh my goodness, he victimized the Texans. And then I didn't think he had a chance in hell against the 49ers all the way up until that comeback. And he did. I mean, he's unreal. He's unreal.
He's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play the game of football. I did say the same thing last week about Russell Wilson, but there are 1A, 1B in my book. But
Russell Wilson is insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's going to go down as criminally underrated. He's going to be a Dan Marino.
Yeah, but he's got one ring. He's got one ring.
Yeah,
and I think he'll win. I think he'll win another one.
Like, if you put a highlight reel of every single quarterback in NFL history, Russell Wilson has the best highlight tape. He just does the most ridiculous things. The play will be dead, and he'll turn it into a 30-yard touchdown, 40-yard touchdown.
Maybe. I mean, he reminds me of... He's way better, but he reminds me a lot of Donovan McNabb. Like, because McNabb could do that too, where a play would completely break down, and he'd pull something out of his back pocket, and you're like, oh my goodness, this guy's just... He's... unbelievable. Like, how did he manage to see that and make a change in the middle of a broken play? Russell Wilson takes that to a whole nother level. He's just so talented. Also, probably one of the best locker room influences, period, ever. And a tremendous leader, on and off the field. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely in that elite tier. Anybody who doesn't put him there is a fool.
DCD Podcast, episode number 79.
Yeah, before we get out of here, as always, want to remind you guys, t-shirt link in the description. If you buy one of those, we get $4 to $6. In addition, we have our Patreon link in there. You go to patreon.com/DCD Podcast. You get all kinds of great perks, starting off at $1 a month. You get early access to the show, all kinds of other great perks that I won't go through right now. But there's multiple tiers, multiple perks. I want to thank our current Patreon backers, Dumbest Sphinx in the Egg tier, and Jared Day.
Well, we lagged. He was going to say Jared, Daniel, and Bobby in the gold tier. And then he was going to remind you guys, if you don't want to support us with money, I'm on the spot, I'm blanking. If you don't have the money to support us and want to support us anyways, there's free ways to support us. You can review us on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Alex is back. You lagged, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You can give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It doesn't have to be 5 stars, but we'll give you a shout out on the show. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and tell a friend about the show. That's another free way to help us out, and that's it. So, go to deadchannelduo.com. You can find us on every platform where we're available. We're on a lot of them.
Buy our shirts.
Andy, anything else you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Buy our shirts.
All right. That's DCD 79. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.